Hello and welcome to Dishelved with Adam White. Today we're going to be talking about Those Idiots from Earth and The Girls from Planet 5 by Richard Wilson. I have The Girls from Planet 5 on Kindle, which is why I don't have anything to show you for that. You can get it for 99 cents. It's a short read, but it's a pretty good book. Um, I originally heard of Those Idiots from Earth when Michael K. Vaughan went through his old science fiction books, and I thought, that's just a title of something I've got to have. So I'm kind of stealing this from him, uh, but I thought, well, maybe hopefully it'll be a while before he gets to it. I was expecting something along the lines of a parody. I thought it was a novel, but it's actually a book of short stories. Uh, I thought it would be some kind of parody about human beings trying to get into space and not getting a good reception from people, but it was totally different from that. It was a book of short stories. The first story is Those Idiots from Earth, which actually is, I think, probably my least favorite story in the whole book. Now, it's not that I didn't like it, I liked it, it's just probably not my favorite of the bunch. But it has to deal with artificial intelligence on Earth communicating with artificial intelligence from space and them trying to decide whether they want to invade Earth or not. And I won't say much more than that because it's funny how it works out, and it is a little amusing the way that it's written. But it it has it's just a lot different from what I expected. The second story is called The Inhabited, and it has another story of an alien race that can transfer itself mentally into human bodies or animal bodies or any bodies at all. And it kind of shows them learning what it is to be human through going through various humans and animals, and how this one intelligence goes through, and they're also trying to decide whether or not to make Earth their new home because they've squandered their own home. Uh, Really, the stories in this are all about an examination of the human condition. I know that's kind of a generic catchphrase for that, but it really does. They really examine what it is to be human and the things humans do, and now the next story is the Hoaxters, which I'm going to read a little bit from. 92nd day. You get yourself stuck on a rock in space, and after a while, you begin to go nuts, naturally. That's why Sam Black upset the chessboard halfway through a game he certainly had not been losing to Alex Hurd. Sorry, Alex, he said immediately, looking disgusted with himself. He picked the pieces up from the floor on the station's research day room. You've been out here too long, said Alex, putting the chessmen in their box. Yeah, Sam agreed. It's not the company. It's the year between supply ships. We're compatible enough. Our pretests ran enough alike for us to have been twins almost. But I get damn tired of seeing nothing but your ugly face in those four laboratory walls. And the rolling pin, added Alex, whose pleasant face was long and high-boned, with a carefully tended mustache. Rolling that hunk of steel over rock specimens day after day. I never really been convinced that it can't be done electrically in a crusher. I think they want us to do it by hand so that we'll earn our pay, maybe also to keep us too busy to think. It's the hand and the eye, Alex. The hand is slower than the eye, no matter what magicians say, and we could spot the particles. If we mashed everything up in a crusher, the stuff we're after would get sluiced away with the rock powder and we'd never see it, assuming it's there to be seen. They wouldn't have sent us and our fat salaries out to this asteroid if there weren't a damn good possibility of finding stuff. So I guess we'll just have to go on pounding. And sneezing at the dust, added Alex. And going nuts, added Sam. Now the Hoaxters starts out like that. It's these two guys on a remote asteroid that are searching for some kind of compound that they're not even sure what it is, and they're getting really bored. And so they come up with this hoax to get other humans to come in their ships to their station on the asteroid, and it just kind of snowballs from there what happens. And again, I don't want to get too much into it because these are fairly short stories and I don't want to ruin anything because I really enjoyed them. Um, it just kind of, like I said, it kind of snowballs from there, and what can they get away, sort of the boy who cried wolf. Um, the next story is Lonely Road, which a guy is driving home and from way off on a trip, and everywhere he goes there's nobody there, and he just doesn't know what happened to people. Every town he goes to, every gas station, he goes to a bank, there's just nobody there. And he gets home and finds something different, and it's kind of a parable of something he had done himself uh, to a goldfish. And it's a really interesting story and shows what humans do to animals without thinking about it. And it really gives you a good sense of what if the tables were turned against you on that. Really good story. Really like that one. The next two are Love and Honor. Love has to do with a blind girl who lives on Mars, who's a human though, and she falls in love with a Martian boy, and her father's completely against it because there's an extreme prejudice against Martians. They say they're ugly, they're not trustworthy. Uh, it really goes to deal with racism, essentially, is what you're dealing with in this one. And she has an interesting ending to the story because of something they find with Martian, I guess you could call it magic. Um, but it has an interesting ending. And then the second story, Honor, is about that same couple and what happens afterwards. The Martian guy discovers an anti aging serum that keeps you alive a lot longer, and he sends it off to Earth to what the girl says is a uh, trustworthy scientist, and then things happen from there that go wrong for the Martian, and then it has a surprising ending. So they're both really good stories. They're the only two directly connected stories within the book. The next one is 88 Beats 266. It's about putting people on Venus, and there is a guy that goes to Venus and leaves his wife on Earth for like I think it's a year or so, and then she comes to join him uh, on Venus, and she ends up pregnant, and he thinks there's something that's been going on with other people, which there has, but there's something that happens that he didn't think of at the time, and it has a really kind of a surprise ending too. And I don't want to go too far into it because it gives it away. So it's a really good one. Another one called Don't Fence Me In. It's about uh, these it's about the Earth trying to get into space because they've developed space travel technology, but they hit a barrier that aliens have put up, and they don't know how it keeps them from going to space, but they always end up bounced back into Earth's atmosphere, and they don't know why they're getting repelled from being in space. And one guy then actually ends up getting through the net, and it's really kind of funny what happens when he does. But it's another really good story. There's another one called Press Conference, which is about a Martian coming to Earth, and they put it on the docket at the White House press conference, and everybody's like, "Are you talking about like a Martian, like somebody from Mars?" And they're like, "Yes." And they don't get to see the meeting, and then they just get vague information from the government on it, and it goes kind of like what you'd expect an actual press conference to go. They don't give you anything about the actual Martians, and it just is how people kind of find out what's going on there. The last story is called "It's Cold Outside." It deals with gender politics. Uh, it has kind of a gender reversal from what you normally see in a story, especially from these times. Um, it's about well, I don't want to say too much about it. I just suffice to say it, and actually the novel "The Girls from Planet 5." They are both about gender and gender roles and what happens when those get reversed, and about what happens if women were in charge and the men did what they call home engineering, which basically means he's a house husband. But they use terms like that, so there's kind of a tie between it and the novel. And they also both use a thing called a trivio, which is like a 3D TV, and that makes appearances in both that short story, "It's Cold Outside," and the novel, "The Girls from Planet 5." Now, the novel, "The Girls from Planet 5," uh, has aliens land on Earth, and they all look like Amazonian supermodels. And it's kind of a play on all the science fiction films or other books that have really attractive people show up that are essentially human when aliens show up. So it's a play on that, and it turns out there's other aliens too, and they do some other stuff, and it's a really good story. Both the "It's Cold Outside" and "The Girls from Planet 5," and a lot of it deals especially with gender issues in there. I wasn't quite sure at the end of "Girls from Planet 5" what the actual final message was on that, because it gives you kind of a almost a balance again, and you're left wondering, okay, what is the role of the man and the woman in this new world? And it's just really interesting the way that it plays out throughout the whole thing, and there's a lot of funny moments in it. It's a good story. It's only about 200 pages, so you can read it pretty quickly. Like I said, you can get it on Kindle for 99 cents. Just search "Girls from Planet 5" Richard Wilson. It was kind of hard to find, but if you put all that information in, it'll come up. And like I said, it's only 99 cents, so that you can't go wrong with that. This Idiots from Earth is only available this is an original from 57. I don't know that it's ever been reprinted, but it's a really good book. I really didn't expect what I got out of it. Like I said, I was expecting kind of a parody, but I ended up getting lots of stories on the human condition. A lot of it between all these stories and the story in Girls from Planet 5 kind of deals how humans are idiots. And it isn't because of something that the aliens find out necessarily, it's how the humans act to themselves, whether it's prejudice or gender roles or just people being conceited. Uh, it deals with how people are idiots. And it does so in a subtle way, though. So The Idiots from Earth actually is a pretty good title for this, and could even extend to The Girls from Planet 5. They're both really good books. They really have a good message to make you think about stuff, and it really made you think a lot more than what I thought it was going to. And they're really good. I highly recommend them both. If you can find a copy of this, I got it for like $6 on an Amazon seller. And like I said, the other one's available on Kindle. And I actually I got on eBay a book limited to 500 of Richard Wilson's short stories. That was a special edition of only 500, and I paid a little bit more than what I should have for it, but I wanted to read his other short stories because I really enjoyed these. Maybe in a future video I'll show you that when I get it. I haven't gotten it yet, but Richard Wilson, really good writer. I'd never heard of him before, but I'm going to read more by him, and I highly recommend his books, and I hope you'll give them a chance. So thanks for hanging out with me this week, and I'll see you guys next week.